For the last few seasons, the Utah Jazz has tried their best to make a meaningful run in the postseason, with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert leading the team. But every season, the story was the same. They would have a great regular season and then collapse in the playoffs. Keeping that in mind, the Jazz finally decided to break up the duo. They did so by trading away Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a blockbuster trade. In exchange for Gobert, the Jazz gained a lot of draft picks that could help them in the future if they decided to go into a rebuilding phase. Before going straight to the content, here is the brand new information on the channel is that 3 lucky winners will get a chance to win PS5. Only you have to just comment your views on this trade in the comments section below. Let's start today's topic. The New York Knicks reportedly turned down a huge trade offer from the Utah Jazz involving All-Star guard Donovan Mitchell. Appearing on ESPN 700 in Salt Lake City, Tony Jones of The Athletic, hat tip Real GM, said. The Knicks balked at sending 6 first-round picks, Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley, and Obi Toppin to Utah for Mitchell. If the Jazz deal Mitchell, it will mark their second blockbuster trade of the offseason, as they sent All-Star center Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves for a package that included several players and 4 first-round picks. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reported this week that the Jazz decided to start listening to offers for Mitchell. After initially suggesting they would move forward with Mitchell as the centerpiece of the franchise. It was then reported by Jones and Shams Charania of The Athletic that the Jazz had spoken to multiple teams about a Mitchell trade, with the Knicks emerging as the focus destination. Utah reportedly zeroed in on the Knicks since they can offer a better combination of draft picks and young players than any team. The Knicks have 8 tradable draft picks, with 4 being their own and the other 4 being acquired in trades. They also have some solid, young talent such as Grimes, Quickley, and Toppin. Charania and Jones reported that Grimes is of particular interest to Jazz. After the 2021 first-round pick averaged 6.0 points, 2.0 rebounds, and 1.0 assists per game as a rookie. The Knicks reached the playoffs as the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference in 2021 with a 41-31 record. But they dropped off significantly last season, going 37-45 and missing the playoffs. New York made some big changes this offseason to bounce back. Shipping veterans Kemba Walker, Alec Burks, and Nerlens Noel to the Detroit Pistons to clear salary cap space. Before signing former Dallas Mavericks guard Jalen Brunson in free agency. Adding Mitchell to a core that includes Brunson, Julius Randle, and R.J. Barrett would likely put the Knicks are back in the thick of the Eastern Conference playoff race, but they have reached a line they aren't willing to cross. Trading 6 first-rounders and most of their best young players would have made it difficult for the Knicks to make any other changes or improvements shortly. So the Knicks are reportedly digging their heels in and waiting for a more palatable offer for Mitchell. The franchise would have to trade Donovan Mitchell as well. After all, he is a young superstar with a lot of potentials. He wouldn't want to waste years of his career playing for a rebuilding team. Earlier, the notion was that the Jazz wouldn't trade Mitchell. But as per a recent report, it has been revealed that the Jazz has officially engaged in trade talks about Donovan with the New York Knicks. Since Mitchell is a New York native, he wouldn't be unhappy if he is traded to the Knicks. But the first offer that the Jazz has asked from the Knicks doesn't seem realistic at all. As per Tony Jones of The Athletic, the Jazz asked for 6 draft picks along with Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, and Miles McBride for Mitchell. Danny Ainge is asking for everything but the Statue of Liberty. Jazz has asked for at least 6 of New York's 8 tradable first-round picks. And all of New York's high-impact young guys. No doubt that Donovan Mitchell is one of the best young players in the league, and he has his whole NBA career ahead of him. But asking for 6 first-round picks on top of 4 young players is simply too much. It feels like the Jazz isn't interested in trading for Mitchell. If that's the case, fans might simply see Mitchell spend another season with the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz over the past few days has seemingly accepted the inevitable and moved towards trading their second All-Star, Donovan Mitchell, and the most logical landing spot, to the point where Brian Windhorst sees the most as inevitable, is Mitchell's hometown team, the New York Knicks. The negotiations for Spida have now been ongoing between the two sides, and it looks like the Utah Jazz will have an insane haul of picks ready to go for the future after already trading Rudy Gobert. And what the Knicks will offer the Jazz in return for Mitchell. Other teams can offer similar players for Mitchell, but the Jazz are after as many picks as they can get. And the only team that can give them what they want, and that's the Knicks. So even if negotiations go on for the next few months, all signs point to Mitchell heading home before the 2022/23 season. The latest news on DeAndre Ayton now being untradeable until January rules a few other teams out, so now it looks like Danny Ainge has been forced to deal with just one team, and will spend the next few days and weeks trying to get as much out of New York as possible. Miami, for instance, can only offer 2 future picks, 3 if it drops the protections on the 2025 pick it owes OKC, or gets creative with the next allowable language by the Stepien rule, which dictates that a team can't go consecutive seasons without a first-round pick. CJ McCollum is on board, and Mitchell feels redundant. The Thunder and Rockets, both loaded with draft capital, are still in the development phase. So the Knicks have the most to offer in the way of draft capital. They'll give one more pick than the next team in line. Maybe that's 5 picks or 4 with all those young players. But it's not 6, at least not at this early stage of the discussions. However, there are still hurdles to clear in trade negotiations. Utah's asking price is understandably steep considering Mitchell is under contract through at least the 2024-25 season. And the Knicks are concerned about giving away the proverbial sector to the Jazz, per Charania and Jones. As the Sporting News' Gilbert McGregor recently outlined, the Knicks don't have an all-star, the headliner that they could include in a Mitchell trade package, but they do have intriguing young talent on their roster. New York could also throw in veteran salaries to make the money work. Additionally, New York can throw several future first-round picks into a Mitchell deal. The Knicks have 4 of their first-rounders and 4 from other teams at their disposal. The Jazz has set a high bar for a Mitchell trade, so they will be asking for anything and everything from the Knicks. The big question: how much is New York willing to give up? So what do you think of this trade? Do let us know in the comments section below and get a chance to win a brand new PS5. If you enjoyed watching the video, do like and share, and yes, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thank you so much.